Today, we're going to be talking all about breeding fish for profit. I'm going to be giving you guys a list of some fish that I would breed for profit. These are going to be fish that actually sell. I might have some lists that might be a little bit outdated on my channel, so this is going to be a bit of an updated version. If you're wondering, who is this guy? What are you talking about? I am actually the owner of an aquarium store, and before I had my store, I was breeding fish for profit in a single car garage. I then moved from the garage into a warehouse and was breeding fish for profit and actually making a living out of it. Before this list starts, I do need to give you guys a couple of warnings about breeding fish for profit. I'll be very, very honest straight away. You are not going to get rich from breeding fish. There's a reason that there is no multi-billionaire, millionaire people who, when you ask them, how did you make all this money? They say, I bred guppies. It just isn't the way it works. What I might be able to help you guys with is either making a little bit of side hustle money, but probably more than likely helping you supplement your hobby. So I understand that most people who are watching this video probably work a job and have a salary. And that really limits what you can do in this hobby because this is an expensive hobby. I run a store, so I would know. And I understand that there's not an infinite budget for you to do all the projects you want. Now, breeding fish for profit might be a great way to supplement the electricity costs, food, and even for you to earn some potential setups for free from breeding your fish. So this is hard work. It takes patience. It's not the easiest thing that you can do to make a quick $10 or $15. This is something that's going to take some actual commitment and months of work. And I think I'd be irresponsible if I didn't start this video off with a bit of a disclaimer. You need to have somewhere that you're going to sell your fish before you even think about breeding fish for profit. So a lot of people who have been in this hobby, who come and talk to me about this topic, will say that they're going to breed fish and you're going to breed a million angelfish and they've got nowhere to take them. It's very important that you figure out how you're going to sell your fish before you make them. So some ways that I would suggest is, firstly, local fish stores. If you have a local fish store in your area, there is consumption of tropical fish near you. So that means that there's actually a chance for you to make some money doing this, because local fish stores, if they're actually a good local fish store and not your Petco or Pet Barn or just regular chain store, if they are a mom and pop fish store like we are, they will 100% want your fish over wholesale fish. They would love to have fish that are bred in the local water that they can sell to their customers that are going to survive and thrive. And I will even sometimes, depending on the quality, pay more for local because the quality is just so much better. And I really do like to support the local community. So another way to sell them is on Craigslist, or you can ship them online through your own website. These are all things that we should talk about in another video, so let's get into the list. These aren't in any particular order. I sat down this morning and thought of some of the fish that I would breed if I was going to try and do it for a bit of money. This is just going to be recommendations and some things that I've noticed with them on our local market. There's not going to be really any breeding guides or stuff like that. You're going to have to do your own research if you're going to want to do any of these projects yourself. I don't want to have to explain every single fish and how to breed it. Number one on the list is going to be high quality rams. I'm talking about German blue rams, black rams, gold rams, balloon rams, electric blue rams. These are fantastic fish to breed for profit. Now, the reason is that these are always in demand. And as a fish store owner, I can tell you firsthand that these come in terrible from wholesalers. And it's not really the wholesaler's fault. It's more on the part of the places that breed these overseas. I think they use a lot of hormones on these fish and they're bred in quite warm waters. So they just really have a hard time in a fish store without being babied. But these are always in demand. They're great little fish. They're a centerpiece fish. People can add them to their tanks. They're not overly aggressive. The color helps them to sell instantly. So if you can breed really high quality rams, I'm not talking about washed out, small, little rams that just sit in the back corner of the tank. I'm talking about nice, big, meaty, colorful, color-fed rams. You will have no problem selling them. In Australia, you can expect to probably get $5 to $8 per ram if you're breeding them and selling them to a local fish store. your local bred rams are going to outperform the imported rams by a long shot. Like when I was breeding blue rams or super red rams, they always looked so much better than the imported ones. And customers who walk into a store aren't stupid. They're going to see really nice fish and they're going to be really tempted to buy them, because it's how often do you come across local bred fish in a fish store? It's like barely ever. So if you can be the one creating these fish, you're going to do really, really well. Rams are quite a challenge to breed. They're definitely not something for beginners, but for someone who has a fish room with about 5 to 10 tanks who's really looking to do this seriously, this is probably going to be your number one bread and butter. If you have a few local fish stores, you can easily sell them 20 every fortnight, I'd say. Another important thing to note with breeding fish, turnover is largely linked to the amount you're selling the fish for. So if you only breed a batch and you only have a small batch available every couple of months, you can probably charge a little bit more because the fish store is going to be happy to sit on them for a while. But if you have like 700 rams and you're trying to pump them through one fish store, you're really going to need to drop that price down so that the fish store can actually get them moving, because they don't really, like talking firsthand, we don't really have enough customers to sell like 300 grams through our local fish store. So the important thing to note with this sort of fish, where you can breed one batch and create 300 to 400 easily, is not to flood the market with poor quality fish. It's very, very important that your first batches of rams are your best, so the fish store sells them and buys more. If you give them the worst ones straight away, they're going to have a hard time flogging them off, and that's going to cause you more problems, and it's going to make the fish store unhappy. Number 2 on the list is high quality angelfish. So very similar to rams, they're both egg-laying cichlids. You can easily flood the market with angelfish. I've seen it firsthand so many times, and these are a lot easier to breed than rams, in my opinion. They are a great turnover fish. Angelfish are like a staple of the hobby. When you think of freshwater, you think of angelfish. If you can get your hands on a really nice strain of angelfish, like a red devil or a koi angelfish or a blue sapphire angelfish or even a platinum angelfish, and create really nice ones with nice extended fins, a decent size, and really happy and healthy and eating well, you are going to have absolutely no problem selling these fish. Where you might run into problems with selling angelfish, and a lot of people would have experienced this, myself included, is your first batch. You're new to fish breeding, you haven't done it before, you miss a water change and you end up stunting your angelfish, and you get maybe out of a batch of 320 that are amazing, and the rest have stunted fins. They don't look amazing. They're missing pectorals and they're missing their little ones at the front, and you sell those. The fish stores aren't going to sell them. They look terrible. So when I say angelfish, they got to be really good quality ones. As a fish breeder, you have to get around the idea of culling. Culling is very important to creating really good ornamental fish. So some people might perceive it as cruel, but to me, it's something that needs to be done if we are playing God. It's extremely easy to overproduce. They're going to lay eggs every 2 weeks. You're going to be tempted to raise them all up. What I recommend doing is just one good batch every month or two that you can supply all the stores in your area. For good quality angels, we'd probably pay up to $5 for really good quality angels. And I'm talking like, 50-cent piece size, nice, fat, colorful ones that we're going to sell quickly. Otherwise, you're probably looking at about $2.50 to $2 per angelfish. Oh, that scared me. That scare you, Sam? We had the water change system on. So yeah, that's what I would expect with your angelfish. They are definitely great turnover too. So as long as you're giving good quality ones, the store's going to sell them quick and you're going to be able to continually pump them out. Probably the biggest caution with angels is just they're extremely easy to overproduce. You could easily end up with a couple thousand and not know what to do with them. Just be careful with that, but they are definitely a great one to breed for profit, and stores always take them. Number 3, probably one of the best ones to do, especially if you're a beginner or looking to get into this, is line bred guppies. Again, super easy to overflood the market with any sort of fish, because, how many people are going to pay $30, $40 for a pair of guppies in your local market? Probably not that many. I'd recommend getting a pair of 24K gold guppies or platinum guppies, something like that. Something that looks really, really nice. Focusing on breeding a bunch of them up and then taking nice, big, healthy, fat pairs to your store. Local guppies are so much nicer than imported guppies, and they last longer for customers, and they don't have internal parasites or problems that we normally run into, live Bear's disease. So they always sell well. They're a lower ticket item and they're great for beginners, and people normally buy them in groups. So what we recommend doing is paying a premium to get your hands on a strain that no one's really got in your area, whether that's like Santa Claus guppies or something, breeding up like a couple hundred of them and then taking those into your store. And you're not going to get $20 a pair for these guppies, especially when you're selling them in that volume. But, expecting to maybe get $6 to $5 a pair for your guppies. And if you sell them 50 pairs, like, it's not a lot of effort to breed guppies. They pretty much do it themselves. So you're actually looking at a decent amount of money. They are consistent. You're going to breed them. They're reliable. They're perfect for beginners. They turn over extraordinarily well, especially at lower price points. So like I said, higher price points, you're not going to turn them over as quick, but lower price points, you're going to smash them out the door. What I would recommend with these ones is especially culling hard to keep the strains really nice. Like, you don't have to cull guppies. I mean, you can throw them in a mixed lot and sell them for like 20 cents each. But the other thing too is I wouldn't recommend breeding like mutt guppies for profit because, well, mud guppies are mutts. Like, people don't really want to pay for them in stores. Kind of want something a bit more special. Guppies also do really well online on like a local breeder website or on Aquabid or Gumtree. People love guppies. They always want to get their hands on. Okay, number 4 is going to be bristlenose. So these are actually a really, really good one to breed for profit because everyone needs algae eaters. And with your bristlenose, I'm not really talking about like commons because you can just get your common brown bristlenose from any wholesaler and there's places that make these extraordinarily cheap. I'm more thinking things like lemon blue eye bristlenose, longfin bristlenose, super reds, and peppermints sell amazing. I think peppermints, when we looked at our analytics last month, were our best seller fish by total revenue. So people want them. Like I said, everyone needs algae control. So they just, it's the easy thing for a fish store to sell to someone for a new tank. Like, hey, who's going to be your cleanup crew? Bristlenose plecos. They are extraordinarily easy to breed. You just need males and females in a cave and grow them up for a while. You're going to get babies and they pretty much do it themselves. Special morphs as well, like we find them a little bit harder to come by on wholesale lists. So you're going to have a little bit more control over the price you want to sell them for. People can also sell them in groups too. So bristlenose are another great one. Number 5 is going to be hillstream loaches. I think hillstream loaches are an excellent fish to breed for profit, especially if you want something extraordinarily hands-off. So I've made lots of videos about breeding hillstream loaches. You're going to need adults, males and females, and you probably only need a pair. I set them up in a heavily scaped tank with lots of rocks and hiding spaces for eggs to fall in. But basically, breeding hillstream loaches is all about the setup. Once you set it up, you just sit there and wait. The only problem with hillstreams is that it takes a long time for the babies to grow up and reach a sellable size. So you're probably looking at about 6 months before you make your first dollar from buying them. But hillstream loaches in Australia are still very expensive, and for the amount of effort that you put in, like all you're going to need to do is take care of the tank and feed it, and you're just going to see babies appearing. Even if you were selling them for $5 or $10, I reckon it's still good money. And the thing is, they're like the bristlenose, they're an algae eater. Everyone can add one to their tank. They're very peaceful, and stores fly through them. So I think they're awesome. Plus, they are such a fun little fish. So hillstream loaches definitely had to be on this list. Number 6, I actually think this one's a really good one that a lot of people don't talk about, is pygmy cories. They're very similar to the hillstream loaches, basically setting up a tank for them. They're going to breed themselves. They're colony breeders. You can pick the eggs yourself if you want to, but then for the most part, they're colony breeders. They are great for nanotanks. People buy them in schools. We fly through pygmy cories in store. Like, we sell lots of them. They sell in groups of 10, and they are extraordinarily easy to breed. So getting a nice colony in them, feeding them brine shrimp, you're going to get babies popping up all over the tank. Yeah, you'll be able to sell so many of them. It's not even funny. They are very quick to maturity, so you can get them about 2.5 months at sellable size. So you can easily turn them over. And I'm telling you that stores are definitely looking for a local pygmy cory breeder. You can get albino pygmy cories. They can go into shrimp tanks and stuff like that. Excellent little fish to breed for profit. In this back tank here, this one that I'm pointing at, I put my pygmy cories in there. There's always eggs on the glass. And if I picked all those eggs off, I could easily make a couple $100 a month just breeding the pygmy cories. But unfortunately, I don't do that. But they still colony breed in there despite there being predators. So yeah, definitely another good winner. Number 7, another one that I think is good if you're looking for something a little bit more hands-on, is luminatus or red neon blue eyes. These are another little nano fish. I've talked about them a lot on my channel. I've bred them for the past 3 years. These sell so well. They sell in pairs, but they also do sell in nice little groups. They're great for nano tanks. Super colorful, quite rare, and something that I find that people are always looking for. I think that on scale, they would actually do really, really well. Basically, you keep them in a tank, pick the eggs out of the mops, hatch them out in fry tanks, and then you just feed them green water, or I feed them bug buffet dust, and all of the fry pretty much raise up. These don't take as long as your normal rainbow fish to get to sellable size. I find that they're about 3 months and they're ready to go, and they sell like crazy for me. They have stunning color, amazing breeding behavior when you see them. They are rarely in stores, so I feel like that there's a really big opportunity for people to sell these online. They're definitely hands-on because you have to pick the eggs and raise the babies, which are quite tiny, and hatch the eggs out, but definitely worth the price. We sell them for, I think, $40 a pair for like a nano fish, which is absolutely insane. Even if you were getting $4 a fish, it'd be totally worth it. And then number 8, I'm just following this up with it, a fish that's exactly the same as Ficardus. I've talked about this before. The fork-tail blue eyes, they're a little bit bigger, but they are beautiful. I think that there's a really good potential for someone to make a lot of money on this fish as well. They're bright, they're active, they sell well. I think that with both these fish, that once you get the flow, you're just going to be able to get into a rhythm and turn them over. Number 9, this one's a little bit more controversial, but I still think there's a really good potential for someone to make a lot of money from these. And these are rainbow fish. I'm not talking about all the rainbow fish because there's heaps of them that just aren't really amazing or stand out. But the ones that I would recommend, and I'd probably only stick to these 3, these are always going to sell. You'll have no problem selling thase. Praecox, number 1. Bosmani, number 2. Sex lineatas, or number 3. They look really good too. All of these 3 always look amazing. To someone who's never kept a rainbow fish before, they're actually going to stand out in store. They are so easy to breed in a large scale. The only problem is that they take a long time to grow out. You're looking at about 6 to 8 months for some of these to reach a nice sellable size, but you are going to get about $6 to $7 for a nice sized rainbow fish. Really, to breed them, all you need is spawning mobs. So I've really enjoyed breeding them. I mean, they're not something you're going to make tons and tons of money on, but in collaboration with something else on this list, I think they're a really good one. Another thing that's really good about rainbow fish is I find that it's really hard to find nice ones from wholesalers. So the locally bred ones are just fantastic. Yeah, we gobble them up. Like when people bring them in, we love buying them. Right, number 10 on the list is not a fish. The next 2 aren't fish. I'm running out of fish to tell you about. The next one's Nerocaridina shrimp. So cherry shrimp, blue dream shrimp, green jades, bloody marys, yellows. All of these are fantastic. Only if you have really good tap water that you can breed them in. So luckily for me, my tap water is amazing for Nerocaridina shrimp. If you're in Brisbane, you should be breeding shrimp. We're actually in the process of dedicating an entire wall of our quarantine room just to breeding shrimp because they're that popular. They breed themselves. You set them up. You barely need anything to set them up, like a sponge filter and a bit of moss. And you add them in, top up the water when you need, feed them every now and then, and they're just going to produce like crazy. The most important thing is to cull them. Make sure you're keeping on top of keeping only really nice quality colored ones, but you're going to make a really, really good profit on them, especially for the amount of time that it takes to breed them. We sell them in big packs, so that's really good for turnover. And yeah, we recommend them for people's planted tanks or nano tanks all the time. So there's always a demand for them, but you could probably expect to get $3 to $4 per shrimp wholesale for some of these. So I don't know if that's the same over in the US, but definitely here in Australia would pay that for really, really good quality ones. Lower quality ones, we probably pay about $1.50. Still, for not a lot of effort, you know, if you come into the store with 50 of them and you're selling them for $3 each, $150. If you've got some rainbow fish or you got some red neon blue eyes and stuff like that, you're looking at, you know, every month maybe making $300, $400 just breeding fish. Number 11, like I said, it's not going to be a fish. This is snails. So I've actually made pretty good money out of breeding snails, and I think that they're good because you can breed them in grow out tanks, or like they kind of just do it themselves like the shrimp do. But there's specific ones, so not like Malaysian trumpet snails or things like that. The ones that I would recommend is rabbit snails, super duper profitable. I've seen so many people breeding these for profit. Mystery snails, I think that people can make good money on breeding mystery snails or apple snails, and ramshorn snails. So For some reason, I can't believe that people buy them, but people love to buy ram's horn snails. So great cleanup crew, perfect for beginners. Like, they're honestly a pest. Super simple breeding, and honestly, they're super cheap to raise, and it's pretty much all margin when you think about these guys. And then number 12 is going to be platies. So I haven't seen these on many people's lists, and I think that's because I don't think many people are doing it right. It's pretty much the exact same as the guppies. You're going to want to get strains. You're not going to want to just do assorteds, and you're going to want to bring in nice, fat, awesome, healthy ones. These are more of a beginner one. So if you haven't really got the confidence to go and bite off some big project, maybe do like platies and guppies and snails in one tank with a pair of bristlenose down below, and you might have a chance at being able to breed all of them together in a big enough tank. But super beginner safe. We sell lots of them in store. Lots of different color opportunities for you to pick from, and they are extremely easy being live bearers. They just pump out babies themselves, and it's really hands off for the most part. And then number 13 on my list is Celestial Pearl Danios. So these are really similar to the Red Neon Blue Eyes and the Forktails or Ficcatus, where they're a little bit hands-on, but they do fetch a pretty penny. I think the price has come down a little bit, but you can probably expect to get $4 to $5 for these wholesale, sometimes even more. They're beautiful little nano fish. Great for people who want to do little aquascapes and stuff. People just absolutely love them. Basically, the job's going to be pulling out the eggs every day and then hatching them out in hatching tanks. They've got like a high impulsive buy appeal to them too. Like, just the way they look, I find that people just look and go, okay, I'll take a couple of them. They're a little bit hands-on at the start, but once you get the hang of it, it's just going to be like a routine, and they definitely can fund a fish room themselves. So they definitely deserve to place on this list. Now, that's all of the fish at the moment that I would recommend. Things that are going to be constantly able to sell. I didn't really add anything else in here that I think that you could easily flood the market with. Like, I mean, breeding Sturbe Cories or albino Cories, things like that, you could probably do all right with as well. But those are what I would recommend, and I know would definitely sell for every store. At least I hope so. Now, what I want to talk about, just to finish up this video, is some stuff that, from my years of experience, that I would recommend not to breed for profit. So let's start off with number one that I thought I was going to do really, really well off when I first started, and that was L number plecos. These are terrible to breed for profit. They take years to grow out. They don't reliably breed. So even though they might get $300, $400 a fish, or, $50 each wholesale for some of them, for the time and money, for the time and effort and food and heartache that you might go through with these fish, it's just not worth it. The next one's discus. Again, hard. You're going to be up against some of the best breeders in your area who are going to be making the money from this. Discus will stunt if you miss one water change. Extraordinarily hard. There's farms overseas that just do such a good job that it's going to be hard for you to compete. Betters, I would not recommend doing betters. Again, you're going to end up with so many fish. You're going to have to add them in their own little jars. It's so much work. Yes, they're popular, but we just had a local breeder come into our store with, I think, about 500 betters that they had no clue what to do with, and we've been selling them for like $5 each, and we're not even like 10% of the way through selling them all, and like, trust me, we've sold so many. So cardinals or neon tetras, they're just so cheap on wholesale lists. Like, what's the point breeding a fish that we can buy for like $1.30? That's also kind of a little bit more challenging to breed. Oscars or larger cichlids, I find they're just not really worth it, especially for the real estate that it's going to take to grow out these fish and the amount of money that you're going to get for them. So I think all of the lists, besides maybe the angels, were fish that go into like little tanks. So the reason is they take up a little amount of room. You can do them in a bedroom, don't need a lot of food, and like, you can do lots of different things in a small space. So that's the list. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that I was able to help you in some ways. Like I said, you're not going to get rich doing this, but I 100% believe that you can supplement your hobby doing this. I hope you guys learned something, and I'll see you in the next video.